Hello, I'm Louise Houghton, the host of America's Next Investment, and in this series of Startup Central, I'd like to highlight companies who are helping make a difference for the generations to come. In 2020, we saw 2 billion people out of work here in the US, and with robotics and automation, a lot of jobs are not going to be there in the future. So I found this company called PalGo, who are helping to solve this problem. And I'm here now with the CEO, Alejo. Thank you so much for joining me, Alejo.
Thank you, Louise, for having
I'm
me.
really excited about this conversation. There's so much that I want to find out about PalGo, but in a nutshell, just first of all, can you tell us basically what this app is?
Sure. I guess in its simplest form, it's helping people digitize their skills or lingering assets or an asset that they may have.
So what was your inspiration for this particular company?
Again, sort of like the one-liner version, we had been iterating building software that helped digitize homes, yachts, and adventures, and it grew to PalGo.
So it grew over this last year, did it?
You know, I like to compare it to Tesla, the original Tesla Roadster. I don't know if you know this, but in 2003, Elon decided that putting an electric motor inside a Lotus chassis was a good idea. So taking basically an internal combustion engine and putting an electric motor into that chassis. So he had the original Tesla Roadster between 2003 and 2008. A lot of people don't know is that it was not very successful and almost a disaster, both financially, and the car really was, had a lot of breakdowns and issues. But what was the value there for Elon and Tesla was the learnings. And so what they learned during the processes of trying to fit a electric motor into that internal combustion engine chassis was that processes where they learned how to build every component that might have been necessary. And so what they did is obviously they let go of the original Tesla Roadster and they built the Model S assembly line. So much like the Tesla Roadster, we built software, and it was great software like the Tesla Roadster. We learned more than the value of that original software. And so then we iterated, and then that has brought us to our third iteration of PalGo, which is now, I think, our Model S.
So how did it change from being just coastal to being completely worldwide?
The logic was pretty sound for coastal homes, because when you're building something, you want to look at widget cost, and there's no widget that's more expensive than a coastal home or yacht. And then, there was 2.4 billion people that live within 60 miles of a coast. It evolved into PalGo because we realized that the software, we wanted to be of service to humankind in general. We thought that that software serviced, its mechanics could service the world, but it was localized to coastal homes, yachts, and adventures at that point. As our thinking grew, and as our understanding of what our mission statement is, which is to help humankind digitize assets and skills, we realized that you had to just let go of the limitation of coastal homes.
So it sounds like a really supportive team of people that you've got working behind you, but you yourself are an entrepreneur. You've been an entrepreneur for many years. Can you tell us about the previous companies that you've had before and the success that has brought you to this point?
Yeah, I like to joke that I've only done 3 things, but the 3 things I've done them well. Back when the internet boom was happening and the .com craze was going on, I founded a company called highdef.com and hdDVDs.com. That's when George Lucas was first shooting, episode 1 on the Cine Alta system. Jay Leno was bringing you the Olympics in high def, and sold that company. I then, bought a great home, and during the downturn, the home value went up. So that helped me think that I had a good instinct. And then I made a movie with Wes Bentley that Lionsgate distributed worldwide, and I made it for a very small amount of money, and it sold for a very large amount of money.
That's always one.
It was good. It was like, all right, 3 wins. What's next?
Do you not think, though, there's a lot of businessmen out there who have had a lot of failures, in fact, before they've had their wins. How valuable do you think those lows in your life have been to you learning all of the skills that you've got now to bring you into where you are today?
You know, I'm lucky in that my parents were really great parents. So I think that, like AI, who we are is very much a result of training data. So I can't gripe too much and complain about that. But I have had my fair share of extreme challenges. When I was building my first company, you know, we were burning through so much cash. I had to take a secret gig as a waiter. You know, so I would leave the office as CEO of this, you know, huge name, and I would go and wait on tables in the evening just to make sure that I have enough funds to pay for the server costs. And then I've had personal challenges in 2008. I had personal challenges which were very, very, you know, you never think in your life that you're going to have adversity. So when you're faced with adversity, and if it's significant, it really tests your belief systems and really challenges your mettle and whether you have the intestinal fortitude to not start becoming someone other than who you want to be, you know.
I guess all those things keep you really grounded as well, though. So is there any other practices that you do to find balance in your life and
Sure.
keep you grounded?
Yeah, totally. You know, I grew up, I think all kids feel like you've got a hole in your heart. So like all children in the world feel like they have to do something to elevate or patch the hole. I did martial arts. Now I do yoga, which is, I think, essentially the same thing. And I'm genuinely obsessed with yoga. You
Can
know,
you do a handstand?
I love doing handstands.
Can't do it.
Yeah, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see lots. But the part about yoga that I think is relevant to my personal growth is that it dials me back in every day. So like, I feel like if I don't go to worship every day, you know, my intentions maybe start to falter, my ability to listen to source. And when I say listen to source, I mean, that's that intuition, right? So, yeah, yoga keeps me centered.
Is that meditation that you do just part of your yoga practice, or do you meditate separately to that?
During my formative years, I meditated a lot. So I went through numerous training systems and I graduated, I think, 7 in total. So meditation was separate and distinct. And as I have grown as a person, I've learned that if you have 90 minutes in a yoga class, if you treat it with the intention to just listen and to be present and have mindlessness, so no internal mental speak, it's meditative.
Yeah, I fully agree with you there. So tell me, who are your idols within the business world? Who do you aspire to be? Or is that a silly question after what we just said?
I think it's a great question. You know, I adore what Elon Musk has done for our world. His sister and I have been friends for 15 years, and she's an incredible force, and their mom's an incredible force as well. But I think when you see the pure intentions behind Elon's mission, you know, and the transition to sustainable energy and making life multiplanetary, human consciousness multiplanetary, I think those intentions are so noble. And I think that any entrepreneur or any person who's endeavoring to do good should look at Elon and model some of those decision-making processes, which usually seem to look like they're pure intention.
So how does your business work alongside all of the environmental issues that are going on in the world? I think anybody who's passionate about entrepreneurs, about startups, want to know that they've got an environmental conscience.
Well, yeah, I mean, we literally call our component to environmentalism PalGo consciousness, which is attempting to clean up 1 mile of ocean per day. Now, that's not in a mechanical manner. That's through helping NGOs and organizations that we partner with. We also have an initiative called 1 Billion Hands, where we're hoping to bring all of the global environmental action organizations together on Labor Day each year to represent 1 billion hands to then responsibly remove and recycle a piece of plastic from an ocean or waterway.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about this app then, because I want to find out how it works and how everybody can benefit from it who may be potentially watching. And that is so you mentioned already that somebody with a skill is going to be able to put their skills on this app. And it's something that I've kind of heard a little bit about, is that it's really targeting those small businesses rather than all of those businesses that put so much money into advertising.
Sure. Well, I mean, you touched on it in your intro, which is our original thesis was in its second generation looking at automation. We observed that all of the capital markets were investing heavily in robotics and artificial intelligence. And naturally, the consequence or the vacuum created by mass adoption of automation is going to be that human job loss. So humans are not going to be baristas, they're not going to be bartenders, they're probably not going to be radiologists, they're probably not going to be lawyers, they're probably not going to be Uber drivers. Even, I have a Tesla, my car drives itself. We know that the robotaxi fleet is just, months away, literally. And so we thought to ourselves, well, okay, so if our core focus is humankind, we need to help humankind derive both income and meaning in their lives. So, and we saw proof of this notion of, whether you call it a job apocalypse or hyperinflation or automation, it doesn't really matter, or the pandemic, I don't know if you can say that. In 2020, we saw, 2 billion people out of work. And we realized that our thesis was very relevant and very well needed. And so instead of doing what everyone else is doing, which is working on automation, we decided to work on the solution for humans post-automation. And that's really, the solution ended up being software. It ended up being providing anyone a means and a series of algorithms and technologies that we've developed over the last 5 or 10 years, globally, by the way, so it's not just our algorithms, that can then help humans derive both income and meaning post-automation. And I guess the way that occurs from an economic point of view is that the economics of human income post-automation is really going to revolve around connection. A robot can fold our laundry, a robot can drive the car, a robot will be able to make you a great drink and cook you dinner, but a robot is not going to be able to help us connect. So let's say there's a group of us, 12 of us, that go whitewater rafting with our children or what have you. That economic value proposition will have worth post-AI. The only economy that is going to have value post-automation is human connection. So things like yoga social, cocktail hour, kayaking with a group, yachting, walk with me through downtown Los Angeles and see all the architectural gems. These things are going to have value to humankind.
So like other social media apps, you put your skill on there and then you ask people to come and join you doing that particular activity, or come and join me for a yoga class, or I'm a private chef if you want me for your event, or is it that those are the kind of the examples that we're looking at?
Yeah, and so we've invented something that we call social economics, which reinforces your skill or asset. But the yoga example is a good one. So in 2020, all of the yoga studios were closed, and all of those medium tier yoga teachers were out of work. And you saw everybody go to Alo Yoga, or you saw everyone go to online yoga platforms and take online yoga. But what happened was everyone was taking the top 1% of the instructors. So if you had a choice between, a mid-level instructor, you had a choice between the best instructor in the world, everyone chose the best instructor in the world. So the rest of these amazing yoga instructors had to reinvent how they were deriving both meaning and income. And so you saw those yoga instructors turn to PalGo, and what they did is they were like, okay, sunset yoga with your friends, stay for cocktail hour and social. Now that had economic value because it had human connection.
And when you say stay for cocktail hour, you can then co-host an event with somebody else, teaming them up on the app and allowing yourself to get everybody to pay the app and then split the money directly on the app as well. Is that correct?
Yeah. So, we're to sort of give you a general thesis of how the algorithms work. So the example you're bringing up is co-hosting. Venmo, for example, you can send money as long as you have money. You can't digitize money. You can't, use your skill to vaporize money onto Venmo that I can then send you. Also, Venmo, which is fantastic, is great at sending linear payments, but not multi-tiered. On our software, if, let's say, you have a yoga retreat that you've organized at a house, you can create the homeowner as a co-host, you can create the chef as a co-host, you can create the masseur as a co-host, and define within the app what their percentage or what their fixed rate is that they're going to receive. And our technology splits all those payments for you. And it's also very relevant in sort of the yachting world where, a yacht broker will have to write 10 checks at the end of each charter. Whereas in our system, if you program it as co-hosts, those people get their money internally split, and so that gives that yacht broker more time.
And you can tip on the app too.
Yep, and so for yacht brokers, they can include a gratuity. A lot of our experiences with yachting, you just want to get off the boat after a great day. You've had 8 hours in the sun, you've probably had some champagne, and the last thing you want to do is be held back by the crew who expects a tip. If you've prepared an envelope, okay, that's great, but most of us don't think that far ahead. So in our system, the yacht broker or the yacht owner can actually include the gratuity so that it's collected beforehand, and so I, as the guest, can just walk off.
So it seems like a very complex coding system that you have going on. How long had that taken to develop?
We built our first generation, and that took a year and a half. Our second generation was another year. And then we had 7 coders this year work round the clock for a full year to rebuild our code base, incorporate all the various learnings and algorithms. We really do also use code to do multiple things like resolve for trust. We do behavior modification. As I mentioned, we have a social economic component where, social media platforms out there, when you post, you're essentially giving that social media platform your content to monetize. So it's not really reinforcing your business. Yeah. The social media platforms sell them to advertisers. On PalGo, when you post a social post of, like, let's say your toes in the sand or your favorite coffee or your dog, it attaches to your value proposition. It attaches to your business. If you're a photographer, so every time I post, my photography business is then reinforced. And we call this social economics as opposed to social media. You've seen this with other brands that are selling adult content where they realize that, hey, these girls are posting provocative pictures on their social media. Why not make money off it? That was an early form socially economic platform. And then there's other companies that, for example, the first generation home sharing platforms, they didn't incorporate things like Metcalfe's law, which is the network effect. They don't really resolve for trust. The data sciences that resolve for trust, head and shoulders above the rest, were dating apps, actually. eHarmony, Match.com, Tinder, those companies realized that humans derive trust based on parasympathetic, subconscious pattern recognition. So you'd look at pictures, and if you saw, Like, let's say I drive a Tesla and you drive a Tesla, you'd be like, oh, I like him a lot more. Or, oh, he likes to do ocean cleanups. Oh, he's so much better. And he's got a dog and I love dogs. So all of a sudden, those systems that dating apps developed really help people create a sense of knowledge between one another and creates trust.
So when you're coming onto the app and you can see the host or the person that potentially could rent out your home space, you actually get to connect with them on another level that we've not been able to do on these kind of platforms before.
Totally. You know, for example, like if you have 20,000 followers on a regular social media platform, that's not significant enough that you could monetize it. You're not going to get product sponsorship, you're not going to get money. But on a system like PalGo, those 20,000 people, you are actually directly marketing your services to them. And then because we are fundamentally a listing platform, they can book and pay right then and there, and that gets direct deposited into your account, whether you're a yoga instructor or whether you're a yacht broker. So it's really a meld of those data sciences.
It's really great to hear everything that you've been working on and also to hear that you have such a great work-life balance. But before we close out this little conversation today, I want to know what stage you're at with PalGo and when you're actually launching.
So we plan to launch September 2021 on iOS, on Google Android, desktop, laptop, whatever you are on, you can access at palgo.io. Download the app, and if anybody's looking for a job, please come see me.
Well, there you go. You heard it from Alejo. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you today and to find out more about you as a person, the brains behind this amazing algorithm. Thank you so much. You're watching Startup Central. My name is Louise Houghton, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye for now.